All right, Dave, the 40 seconds has not moved. 10:30, we should probably pop up and jump on here. You ready? Checking in. Okay, great. Good morning. Let me get my mic ready and then we'll admit everybody if there's those of you who are interested in asking questions. Okay.
I'm admitting everybody.
Okay, great. Okay. There's Linda. Titania. All right. Well, there'll be people probably trickling in over the next hour to ask questions about learning to see, and you may be some of them. There's Lisa. Great. Let me pop this view up so I can see you better. When I'm looking at you here, I'm looking at you, but when I'm looking at you over here, I'm seeing you. So if it looks like I'm, well, I mean, I may have a little ADD, but this is also just camera work, a little bit of both. So welcome everyone. Thanks for showing up for the Q&A. And what I'm here to do today is just talk to you about kind of the intricacies of learning to see and answer any questions you have about the full course. I've been getting a lot of them through email, but I've always found that this is a better way to tackle, the big questions you might have as a group because a lot of people have the same questions. So I think we'll just maybe, if you don't mind, we'll just wait for a couple more seconds to make sure everyone comes in. I don't think there's going to be a ton of us on the call because we just put it out. What was that? Was that email yesterday?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Well,
So,
we had an email today too.
oh, well, that's handy.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. All right. Okay. So, I guess to start it off, I wanted to just kind of give you an overview of my philosophy around learning to see as a program and and hopefully put to rest some of maybe the concerns you might have around, like I know it's a big undertaking and it's an investment in your creative process. So I want to nurture that from the very beginning. One of the things that you may have noticed, how were you all on this call? Were you all on the live demo? Yes, 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 yes. Is that you, Margaret? Hi, Margaret. I know some of you. All right. So the live demo is exciting, obviously, because you're seeing maybe some new techniques laid down and the idea of this beautiful chaos emerging into something a little bit more formal. It's still abstracted, but it's got life and it's got energy. But one of the questions I've been getting from a lot of people is, uh, is that possible? You've been doing this for a long time. Why, why would I be able to do that? Or the other version of it is I've been seeing a lot of people who are thinking to themselves, oh, I can try that. I'll put a big mess on the canvas and then I'll paint around it and something will come out. And if you've spent any time doing that, you may have had some like kind of immediate success. And then also it can be frustrating pretty immediately. It's easy to see the limitations of that. Um, Dave, I think some people are trying to pop in too.
I think you got it.
Um, so so I just wanted to talk to you about learning to see like from the bigger perspective. This course is the culmination of my entire career. So I've spent, actually my whole life, I've been obsessed with drawing and painting, mostly drawing when I was a little kid, because that's what I had access to, crayons and pencils, things like that. Um, and at some point, I decided I needed academic training. I needed to go through the grind of learning everything formally. And I did do that, and it was very, very helpful. I can draw very well, and I can paint very well. But it also I think it went a little too far. The the bar was set at the standard of perfection, which is realism, that doesn't actually have a lot of juice when you take it to that end, when you go that far with it. So, so I've found that I maybe spent a little bit too much time there, and there was a little bit of a brainwash in learning all of these things in an emphatic way, and it actually hurt my creative process, and it made it difficult for me to explore and expand and give that the work I love juice. So I had to come back from that. And so the course that I've developed is a course built around all of the some of the fundamental kind of thinking behind painting, but without the dogma that comes with a lot of academic training. And a lot of my heroes, my artistic heroes, are people who actually went through the academic training, which is even most of the even completely non-representational or abstract artists of the 50s, like Rothko and Pollock. These guys had an academic background that then they were able to let go of. And and I think it's really important to acknowledge that. And I don't think a lot of new schools or some schools are now doing that, but there's a lot of new schooling that didn't acknowledge that. And so they didn't realize that there's some fundamental learning that needs to take place, like composition, design, form, and even perspective to understand how to move forward with your work. And but you don't need it all. So people like Picasso, well, he was raised by an academic art teacher. That was his father. And by the time he was 18, he had realized that he needed to let go of a lot of that and wanted to move on and expand beyond those borders. And I think that's where I'm landing, is in that place between the two worlds. I want I want you to have the experience of some functionality around your art so that you're not afraid of drawing, you're not afraid of painting a person if you want to paint a person. A lot of you may feel like that's not even within the wheelhouse of what I can do because I've tried it, but there are definitely ways to do it. And then going beyond that, I want you to be able to explore color and value, form, creating figures in multiple figures in perspective if you want to tell a narrative or a story, a personal story. So that's kind of at the heart of what I'm trying to do. And today I can see there's a lot more people. Hey, Frank, there's people I know. There's a lot more people getting on the call. Tressa, I want to introduce you. Tressa is my co-host today, and she's an incredible painter in her own right. She's a wonderful coach on the team of Learning to See. Breland's here on the call. She's a lot of the nuts and bolts behind what you see online, and she helps me in the studio a lot. And Dave is Mr. Tech. He handles the grid. He handles the matrix. So those are my people. So anyway, I'd just like to open it up to questions. And so since there's not a lot of us here, what I think we can do, the best way to handle it would be if you have a question specifically about the course, just unmute your mic. You maybe raise your hand, as I can see you all on the screen, I think. And we'll unmute your mic and then I'll just answer it. That's what we're here for.
And we'll have to ask them to unmute their mic.
Oh, right. That'll be on you. Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, just any thoughts, or were you just curious? I don't want to put any undue pressure on you.
You can also put it in the chat too.
Yeah, if that feels better.
If you're feeling shy, yeah.
Great. Okay, Kim. Kim, yeah, you can just unmute your mic on the screen and.
Well, I gotta. There we go.
Hi.
Hi.
You and I have been in contact with one another via email, and you've been very,
Kim,
very
yeah.
generous with your time and your responses. Look, I am brand new at this. I've held a paintbrush in my hand twice, and whilst I doodle, I don't draw. So I love your work. And I would love to be able to replicate and do something similar, but I don't have any of those skills. And I'm wondering if I need to get some basic skills before coming into the course.
I'm so glad, Kim, that you are starting this question and answer off. I've had some brand new students in this course over the years, very much like you, who have not had any experience with painting and very little experience with drawing. And I will say this, I first of all, I don't want this to come off as sounding insincere, but I think this is the absolute best place to start because I do go over drawing and painting from a very, I embrace a very beginner's mindset. I want it to be clean, concise, clear, and open-ended, but it's also very dense. So this is an excellent course to begin with. I had a beginner, I'll never forget her trajectory. She started with me, as you may, and by the end of the year, she was completely immersed in her art. The next year, she had a solo show, and by year 3, she was selling her art fairly regularly. I don't think that she had made I don't know what's happened since then, but I don't think she'd made like a career of it yet. But she had a solo show. She was selling her work. This was a complete transformation for her. And it's because the tools are there to learn from the very beginning. And a lot of you, who maybe are more advanced, will also, and this is, I think, Tressa, you could speak to this. Tressa's been teaching for 25 years. You came to my course as a professional. So there is a range here. But one of the things that I think my course and maybe like some of the demos that I do might throw you off because it feels like, I mean, I know it because I'm blown away by it myself. Sometimes when you watch the things happen, it feels like magic. It's like, this guy must have a lot of talent. I'm not saying I don't, but it's teachable. And I feel like I wasted a lot of time in the academic structure of like trying to get it right and you don't have to be ready to begin. The beginning is what makes you ready.
Thank you.
I guess that's my answer.
I wanted just to interject and say that the drawing for me, even as a professional, was when I took this course, I was worried that my drawing skills weren't up to par. And Gabe gives you a lot of tools that allow you to put figures and other things into your artwork without those drawing skills, which is pretty amazing. So you don't have to feel so intimidated by not being able to draw. You can still make great art and realistic art and do a lot of painting without the drawing skills. You'll eventually have to catch up if you want them, certainly, by doing your 21 a week and all of that, but you don't need them.
And that's how I approach the whole course. I approach it, I guess I don't approach it linearly, but I do approach it holistically. Part of it is, hey, let's get into this practice, these easy reps, like 21 a week, so that you can kind of own your own artistic identity. Then let's introduce different ideas, and some of these ideas people glob onto and are absolutely obsessed by, and that's where they live, and another group will glob onto. But what is important to me in a course like this is that you have access to everything first, so you can make educated decisions around the direction you want to take your art. And for a lot of us, we've been painting or drawing by default. Like you're painting a certain way, you have a style. That's not necessarily a choice. It might be what you were able to accomplish because of some of the limitations. So if we can remove some of those limitations as far as understanding, like I have a lot of students who never considered painting a figure. They would never do that, or a portrait. And initially the response was, I'm just not interested in those things. But when we dug a little deeper, it was, no, actually I love that conversation that happens with a figurative piece, but I never thought I could do it. And so when you get past that resistance and you realize, oh no, I have access to the whole gamut, it changes the way you see what's possible, and it might even change where you want to go with your voice.
Tatiana has 2 questions in the chat. The first one, she said she'll have to miss 2 weeks due to traveling.
Oh, Tatiana, didn't I talked to you through email too. Great. Okay, great question. Thanks for coming on the call. Traveling. I wonder if there's Fiona. Oh, good. Hi, Fiona. There's a Fiona Coffee that just signed up in class, and I thought it was you, Fiona, and anyway, we got curmudgeoned, but hi, Fiona. Nice to see you. Sorry. Traveling. I have had a lot of students traveling in this course, and many of them, I would say this. Are you going to be here for the first week? Yes. Okay, that's key. If you're here for the first week, your travels are going to be a very different, I mean, I think they'll be a very different experience. I hope is it for work or is it a vacation? If you can, yeah, if you can, Dave, she wants to unmute, just double check on that.
All right.
I don't mean to put you on the spot, but this is a small room.
Oh, no, no worries, no worries. Yeah, hi, everyone.
Hi.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, you're
Are
here.
you guys still here?
Yeah.
Okay, I lost you. There we go. Yeah, no, I'll be traveling for pleasure. I'll actually be going to Buenos Aires. And I do paint tango. So I mean it kind of coincides with what I'm doing.
Okay.
Yeah, so maybe it's a good thing, maybe it's not a good thing. So yeah,
Okay.
but I don't want to miss anything important. Like I want to complete all the work. I have a goal of maybe, discovering my style and voice more and getting into gallery. So like I have a goal. So
Yeah.
I really want to juice it out if I can.
Yes. Tressa, she's going to go tango.
I love it.
I just want to say, Tressa's an incredible dancer.
No, I'm an okay dancer, but thank you.
What style? What do you do?
Tressa teaches dancing. She teaches Zumba.
I teach a dance fitness class. It's very different. But,
it's very okay. Anyway, I've seen
it's
it.
not.
It's incredible.
It's very fun, and I love it. I love dancing, and I love that you're going down there to tango. So you'll have to keep us posted.
Yeah. Okay. Now let's address the very very medium-sized elephant in the room that's cute and has big ears. Traveling while taking this course. Obviously, when you're traveling, you can be consumed by where you're at. It's new, it's fresh, there's all kinds of energy. It may not be the time for you to sit and watch a whole bunch of Zoom videos, acknowledged. However, if you're here for that first week, we start digging into this concept around building a body of work in multiples so that you have a full, basically gallery-ready portfolio. And with that in mind, if you start heading out and traveling during the course, you will probably miss some of the work, during those weeks at first. But the kind of images that you might get, the thinking that you're going to have around what you're doing will probably be completely transformed. I spent a good portion of the beginning of my career responding to my travels as my work. And so what if you do miss those things in real time? They're all recorded, and you can catch up at your will. Even the live calls that we do. If you're missing 2 weeks, you'll miss 2 live calls maybe, or you could even just, if it's, I don't know what the time difference will be, but you might be able to catch those live calls. You might not be in the studio, but they're all recorded and you can catch up with them. And what happens with our students is there's life is involved, and everyone moves at a different rate. So some students are going to be on week 2, and some students might be on week 5 in week 5. But the students who are on week 2, when you submit your image or you submit your question, it's a gift to the rest of the students because we all share similar questions. And so it's nice to be able to refresh to go back to week 2 and be like, oh yeah, how can I apply that where we're at right now? What I'm saying is there's no falling behind. And you have the whole program for a year, so you can revisit the work again and again. And so far, every year that we've done this course, there's been a group of students that get together after the course ends. and they formed a group called Reboot, and they go through the entire course on their own, together, to those who choose um, to go through each week again. So yeah, there's no missing. But I will say that if you're traveling and you are a dancer, I can only imagine what your work might look like. Um, but dancing is a beautiful subject.
I remember the first time I took the course, I was traveling, funny enough, to Miami to do this whole Zumba thing that we were all doing. And I remember being in the back of the car, like with my iPad, and I never thought I would want to watch it because I had a very full week. But I did end up like tuning in and watching the Zoom call in the back of the car with all these other ladies, friends of mine. So you just don't know if you'll be inclined to watch it or not. But I just remember that because you can always watch it no matter where you are. You can always tune in on your phone for a little bit if you want to. So
yeah, it's you are traveling, and I recognize the power of that. I'm not trying to say, oh, this will be a great course for you while you're while you're trying to dance. That's not what I'm saying. But I am saying that if you approach your travels with the perspective of I want to create a body of work based on this energy, or maybe this experience, you'll come back with a very different catalog of material. And we do talk a lot about that in the first week. Actually, in the first week, we go through, whether you want to go through your the photographs maybe that you've taken, or you want to start looking into the world and seeing what else is out there. We do work from a lot of photographic images, and I really encourage you. You can of course work from magazines or photos you find online, but I encourage something more personal. It's just something I've been thinking about lately, obviously, because there's so much to think about. But with this AI thing out there, I don't know if you're on social media at all. There's so much stuff being just flooded with different whatever fake images, whatever it is, and even art. There's a lot of AI art, which is fine, and some of it's really beautiful. But what there isn't is there's not a personal life in that. It's a culmination of thoughts through zeros and ones. But for us to be able to express ourselves and tell our story in paint is valuable in a very different way. And I think it's something that's really needed in community right now. As an artist, if you create something that's personal to you and tells your story, I think right now you're giving a cultural gift that's maybe more valuable than it ever has been. It's just making a dent, a personal dent in a world that feels a little bit more generic. So that's something I'm really excited about, is that I know that in this course we have some tools that I can help provide you to be really specific about the kind of story that you want to tell, and you can say whatever you want to say through that.
Gabe, we have some questions that we definitely want to get to.
Okay. Yeah, yabber. Sorry.
Before you digress.
It's a Q&A, or is it just a talk?
One of them is, do we work individually with the students? And I think this would also tie into this other question: how much feedback is available during the week? Is it through email or is it through a group? If you could just be a little bit more specific about that.
Sure. So each week, at the beginning of the week, here, I was just looking for this. Okay, sorry. Each week at the beginning of the week, I will, we put out the content for the full week. So there's usually somewhere between 10 and 20 videos. And one of the things that I've really focused on, and I've seen this a lot online, is that people just pile information on, and they call that a value. They're like, you've got 700 hours of material you can weed through here. So what a bargain. And that's not what I've done. no video is, the videos are between 5 and 25 minutes at the most, even the demo videos. And I've gone through these videos and I've edited them and sped up areas that were less relevant so that you can get a concise understanding of the lessons at hand. And I think that's really important so that we're not wasting each other's time. Then under each of those videos and lessons, there's a comment field where you can ask questions specifically about that video or what was spoken about in that video. And I answer every question that you ask under those videos, personally. Also, so that's handy. Then there are lessons throughout the week that you can choose to undertake. And at the end of the week, we have a live, like this, Q&A call where I see you in front of me and you see me. And a lot of times I'll do demos like I did on Saturday. And other times I'll answer your questions. And most of the time I do both. But another thing that I'll do is if you submit one of your images, I limit it to 1 image a week, just for my own sanity and for Tressa's. But we actually make personal adjustments to the images that you submit so that we can show you different ideas around composition, design, drawing, whatever needs some help. We'll refine that. And then during that live call, we'll go through those adjustments and I can talk about your process with you. And this is a small group of, compassionate people who happen to be artists. So it's a safe space. But that kind of learning it has been proven invaluable because what happens is we tend to have similar questions as the week progresses. So if I maybe am looking at Kim's work and I say, Kim, is how I would suggest that you move through this and make an adjustment here. Maybe Terry is like, oh, okay. Kim, I see that in Kim's work. I can see that in my own work too. So not only has Terry submitted an adjustment, but through the answer that I give Kim, she has a broader perspective on what you're doing. So that group, that community really is helpful. Sometimes I have a hard time when I'm looking at my own work having a critique. It can just feel uncomfortable. I'm invested in it. I've spent a lot of time. But if my friend is getting a critique, I can see the critique over there and I can hear what's being said and I can look at my own work and I can say, that would apply beautifully over here to me. And it's a nice way of learning. Does that answer your question?
I think that's a great answer.
I mean, that's what I got.
Yeah,
pretty personal.
Yes, they are very personal. And there's communication all week long through the Facebook group.
Oh, right. Thank you. Yeah. So Tressa, the other thing is that we have a private Facebook group only available to the students in the course. This year, like the people who sign up, it's just yours. And when you post there, the community, you can ask the community, like Fiona's part of our community. She's an incredible person, an amazing artist, and she's very kind. So the community itself can banter back and forth about what's being learned and help each other. And I think that that's been a really nice part of the Learning to See experience, is that you get to actually share this process with another person. The times when I made the least amount of progress as an artist were the times when I was trying to go it alone. And this community has changed that for me, because I have artists all across the world that I can bounce ideas off of and enjoy the company of and learn from. So that's really helped.
Great. So I was just answering a few questions online. Maybe I did answer this to Linda, but maybe other people have this question. Do you need to know how to use acrylics? I know that you painted with acrylic in the demo, and some people might not be painting in acrylics.
Got it. Yeah. So what's exciting about that is that acrylics are very easy to learn. Speaking of which, would any of you mind if I was doing a little bit of a demo while we answered questions? I tend to get antsy and I love to paint. So it would solve one of your problems. I have some oil paints out today, and I work almost exclusively in acrylic during this workshop because it's fast and furious, and when you're learning, it's also extremely forgiving. So, in answer to your question, do you have to learn how to use acrylics? There's not a huge learning curve there. If you try to use acrylics like oils, they can feel very inferior, and that's how I used to do it. I'm an oil painter, for 15 years exclusively. I was an oil painter, and when I first started using acrylics, I thought this dries too fast. It's garbage. I don't like it. It's a bad version of oil paints. When I learned how to use acrylics properly, I was so thrilled by how fast things came together and how you could get all of this paint. Imagine how, as an oil painter, how long this would take to dry, like a long time. Or this big pile of paint, like this would take a week to dry as an oil painter. And so starting with acrylic is a wonderful way to try something, make a change, try it again, make a change. So if you don't have acrylics, you can just get a few acrylics. You can get like the primary colors or an off-primary palette like we talked about on Saturday, some white and some black. It doesn't have to be a whole overhaul, but I do think acrylics are a faster way to learn during the course, so I'd recommend that. My personal process, which I'm going to switch over to right now, is to work. A lot of times I'll work in acrylic as far as I can take the painting, and then if I want the nuanced beauty of oil, I'll switch over to oil at the end. You have to paint oil over acrylic, but I'll switch over to oil at the end and I can get all of that oily stuff back. So that's the thinking. Yeah.
Gabe, Lynn has a great question. She says figures and portraits are the only subjects she's really interested in. She needs help with reeling in what she's doing with her direction and wants to create a new body of work.
Got it.
Leveling up as the old body isn't resonating. And will this course help her?
Yes. This is that course. This is the course for, Tressa, maybe would you just expand on that and I'll chime in, but I think we both know probably what I'm going to say a little bit. So
yes, I think that it's transformative. Figures and portraits, throughout this course you choose what your subject matter want that to be, so you learn lots of new things to help create a body of work that feels honest and true to yourself and is incredibly creative and inspirational, the kind of thing that when you're like at 3 a.m, you just can't wait to get up so that you can get in the studio kind of deal.
And I'll be up during that time.
Yeah, Gabe
unfortunately.
So Lynn, I do, I think just the amount of alumni that keep taking this course over and over again, it brings so much. It'll breathe life into your creative experience and your artistic experience.
Yeah, let's address that a little bit. I see some of you on the call today, and I thank you for that. I have such an incredible group of alumni that continue to take this course. Once you've taken Learning to See once, you can come back at a discounted rate and take it again. And I have people who've taken this course 5 times. And yes, things change along the way. And I'm not saying you need to take it 5 times either. I'm really not. But things change along the way somewhat. But there's a lot of the same material. And Fiona, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the reason that maybe people are coming back is twofold. The community, maybe threefold. The community, the fact that we do live calls every week, so that part is constantly evolving and changing. I think I've changed a little bit over the course of this program. And then maybe the third one is that each time that you take a course like this, because it's so dense, your learning has shifted. You're further along in your process, and so you have this access to a new insight into the lessons. It's a dense course that way. Does that feel correct?
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gabe, somebody is asking about, or Dave was asking about the dates exactly. I don't know if you can put those in the chat. And then Terry says she's a watercolor person and she wants to build a larger and looser body of work.
Yeah, okay. Watercolor, that's how I started. I didn't paint in oils for the first 2 years that I was painting. I started with watercolor. One of the limitations around watercolor would be something like this. You have to leave those clean whites available for your lightest lights. You can work this way a bit with watercolor. I'll just be so what I would say about that is I love gouache. I love starting with watercolors, having the looseness, having the water play and move. And then there's going to be times when I want some opacity to merge values and play with integration of color. So sometimes there's some opacity over the top. I definitely work in gouache. I actually work in an acrylic-based gouache, so it acts like gouache, but but instead of lifting it off with water, once it dries, it stays. So I like being able to build like that. A lot of the principles that I deal with in this course are across the board relevant. We talk about color in a way that watercolor absolutely will respond to, especially because I had such a background with watercolor. Form, composition, design, working in multiples, building a portfolio, figures in space, creating multiple figures in space, telling a story. All of those things are pretty much any medium. The one part of this that maybe would be slightly different for you, and I think it would be worth experimenting with, would be something like this. There's a week in there where we really begin playing with this idea of chaos and structure at the same time. And watercolor tends to be a little bit more formal that way. You have to leave, the plan has to be in place in order to leave those whites. So I guess that's my answer to that. Yes, it will help on, 9 out of 10 levels.
I think I don't usually see you painting oils.
Right?
Yeah.
I thought,
Why
So,
not?
which is funny because this is literally this is my whole career before I got started teaching. And then I realized quickly that when I was painting in oils and asking for my students to experiment, I was doing them a disservice, because if you don't know where you're putting your brush with oils, and you're trying to experiment and try something new, you tend to get kind of muddy. It's easy to get muddy with oils if you're having to make corrections, even though they're so forgiving also, but it takes more time. And so I want the principles that we're playing with, that we're discovering, to be available to you early. And that's why I think acrylic is so important. And then what I got to discover, this is the beauty of teaching, was that it actually really worked so well. Like, it's wonderful to be able to um, just just play, just to experiment, to try new things with different values, different colors. And in order to do that, you really have to be able to, if you're trying to move through videos and get done during the week, you have to be able to, paint right over something. And that's also going back to the watercolor thing. That's one of the difficulties with watercolor, is that it's hard on us. I love it. I love how organic and free water is, but it's also very, it's very exacting.
Okay, but are you looking at a reference just
Yes,
because?
yes. So I'm working from a snapshot I took this morning of Breland for a face, because I thought I would do a face. And what I'm just kind of like roughing it in right now. I'm finding the face so that you all can see that there's a face here. But what I want to address here isn't, I'm not going to try to do some masterpiece portrait. I I want to show you some of the things that I think are overlooked in a lot of teaching. There's two kind of big schools of thought around painting portraits and figures. One is tonalism, which is light and dark, like the light and dark of things. And the other one is form-based. It's almost more sculptural, and it involves faceting. And faceting is this idea that when Breland is lit from this side, we can say, oh, the lights are over here and the shadows are over here. But if the light goes over here, what happens to her? She's still there. She's still a solid human being. The light's the only thing that's changed. So if it's just about light, then it's dependent on how light is on the form. But if you look at the form, the structure of her face, her head, then then you have a lot more freedom around how you want to light something. You can begin to change that light by having solid form. So I'm going to show you a little bit about what I mean. A lot of you, if you've looked at painting and drawing much, you may have seen kind of, the side, this kind of thing, right? Like that's the front of the face and that's the side of the face. That's a little indicator of this idea of faceting, that there's a front side and then a turn and a side. So as a sculpture, it's almost like you're making a blueprint for a sculptor to follow. That's the way that I approach painting. And when we learn how to draw that way or see that way, it gives you a much more solid approach to seeing forms and people in things, in animals, whatever you choose to paint. And that's the method that I choose. So again, not really looking for features so much. I'm actually going to be looking for form, and I'll expand on that a little bit in a second. But
I remember the word form in art school was so elusive. What is form?
yeah, look at the
Form,
form. Look at the
shape.
form.
Yeah.
But I think it's because so many teachers don't actually know how to describe that in a way that people can find it. They say
Yes.
it, but what does it mean?
Right. In your class, and I mean, it truly allowed the way you explain form finally made sense.
I do find that a lot of people who take my course, there have been a lot. I've had landscape painters, I've had figurative painters, I've had people who paint animals, completely abstract painters. One of the things that is surprising to me is how many people never thought that they would enjoy painting a figure or a person, and then once they were given the tools to be able to do so, just absolutely fell in love with it, like I have. I do love it. I never get I don't get tired of it. It's really all I ever want to do. Except I also learned somewhere along the way that it's really nice to be able to share that with somebody. And that's what I'm here for.
It's about 11:15, I guess. 11, yes.
Okay, so
11:15.
yeah, so we probably have about 15 minutes more on this call. If there's anything else that's burning a question, I'd love to answer that for you. This course, Learning to See, is only offered once a year, and this is when it's offered. If you are an artist or somebody who would like to be an artist, and you have been playing with this idea of jumping in to that arena and hoping that it's the right time, if you're on this call,
So
I'm guessing it is the right time.
So Carol has a question. What if she says she's very advanced, she has taught portrait and figure drawing,
Okay.
and she sells primarily florals and landscapes.
Okay.
Would this make any sense for her to be in this class?
Well, I mean, I can't answer that for you, Carol, exactly. I think that's hard for me to do.
Carol, what is it that drew you to to watch the classes? Like, I can speak to you what drew me to take Gabe's class as somebody who was already an established painter and had taught for a very long time, is that there was something missing in my I guess creative vision. I couldn't get out what I really wanted. I couldn't paint what I really wanted to paint. That was the things that were in my heart. I couldn't find. I just couldn't find it, and that's what drew me to take his course. And I learned a lot along the way. But it was much more than I bargained for. Let's just say that. But I'm curious. She says she loves your work, and she feels like her work is not quite there. But I work every single day for years.
Okay.
Are you as fascinated as I am right now, Gabe?
I mean, first of all, I'd love to see your work, Carol.
Yeah.
I'd love to see where it goes to. But I will shake you up. That I can tell you right now. If you're just beginning, there's plenty of information there. If you are an established artist and you've been working in your field for a while, I'm going to make a mess of that for a little bit. And I think that's possibly, depending on what kind of a person you are with your work, that might be enough reason right there. Sometimes we get into these patterns around our work that we almost stop being able to see the pattern. And that's, I think, I don't want to say it's creative death, but when we stop growing and we stop learning and we stop pushing ourselves and it doesn't feel like a challenge and you know what you're doing, that can be dangerous territory for an artist because it feels it's not why you started, right? When you started, everything was alive, everything was maybe even sacred. There's so much to see, so many different ways to express it. And then, especially if you're a career artist, there's expectations around galleries and all these different things that get placed on us. Whether or not they're actually placed on us, we can place it on ourselves. And it begins to feel maybe a little bit repetitive. So we're not going to be doing repetitive that much in this course. And there will definitely be things that you learn in this course that I can guarantee there'll be things in this course that you've never learned.
Marilyn asks if you offer scholarships.
We do have some scholarships based on need available. And Marilyn, if you just want to contact me directly at the team at 8paint.net, it's the team, but I will answer that email, and just outline what you need. I'd love to help you.
Carol says that she still doesn't know what she's doing. She started over a half a century ago as a child. I love that.
All right. Well, I almost feel like I should here. I almost feel like I need to jump back on the camera. Carol, I don't either. I don't know what I'm doing either. That's beautiful. You're in the right spot as an artist, but it doesn't mean that I don't land it sometimes. I definitely love what I'm doing. It's infinite, right? I've used this quote so many times, but it's basically my favorite quote. It's Einstein, and he says, "If you think you have troubles in math, consider mine." It's, but yes, there's so much more to learn, and there's so many ways to approach it, and so I think that's where that's what makes this exciting.
She also says she's intrigued, but she has to admit she can't justify the price. And I think you're a really good person to talk about that investment in yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I understand the idea of justifying the price. I've made some big investments in courses over my life. Um, and what I will say is, if you're looking at it as an 8-week course, it can feel pretty heavy. It's a heavy, maybe a lot for that amount of time, but that's not what it is. This is a course that you'll have for a full year. The amount of information I've given you my career. I've given you everything or as much as I can cram into this course, to help you transform the way that you're seeing and painting. And it's been distilled down over the course of my 25 years as a painter. And it also includes a lot of things that I really wish that I had learned when I was first getting started, when I was going down the academic road. I don't feel like I know there's a price tag here. I don't feel like it's expensive. I think if you compare it to, say, a university program, or any art school even, if you're comparing it to art schools, I know that what I provide in this course is comparable, if not superior. And if you're
Superior.
comparing it to, thank you. Tressa, you went to art school, so
I did.
yeah, it's maybe you should answer. I hate this part because I feel like,
I know. I know.
Sure, I'm gonna say that.
And it is hard to answer, I'm sure, for you. I can answer it. I think the investment in yourself is worth it, especially, Carol, if you're feeling like you've been doing this all your life and you still need more. That I think that this is something that you wouldn't be sorry to invest in, for sure. I also, I was blown away by the amount of information and so much that I learned in these 8 weeks, and then the following 4 weeks that were just more than art school. I mean, so much more than the artists that I learned from then. And I just think it's and Tatiana says she would love to take this course after she chooses a direction that she wants to go into.
Great statement, Tatiana.
I'm more focused, and if she's more focused, and I also would like to speak to this, that I don't think you ever get to that place where you're more focused. I think you just have to do it. I mean, for me, that's how I feel all the time. I remember having so much anxiety about, like, wow, should I do this course? Should I not? And when I made that commitment to myself, because I've got a million things going on all the time.
Oh, man.
All the time. Right? Don't we all? And
but you really do, though, Tressa. We all do, but Tressa, you're a little out of control.
Oh, now that my kids have left, that's better though. But I committed to myself, and it was just the greatest decision ever.
It's also there is a reason that I start that first week with the bigger approach. Let's assess, and the reason for that is because I want you to get where you want to go, and I recognize, myself included, that sometimes we don't know where that is. We're not sure what direction we want to take our work. And so having a little bit of introspection around that and some time to kind of formulate an idea is really important. The other part about that I think is maybe undervalued is it's one of the main reasons that we don't paint. I don't know what to paint. I'm not sure where I want to go. I'm not sure if that's worth the investment. And it can freeze us up in a way that is debilitating, because if what we paint becomes more important than the act of painting, we may find out that we're not painting at all. That's why in the beginning of the course, we get ourselves set up to paint. And also, this course can teach you, how to take your work in, to get it gallery level, to do all those things. But it can also, I hope that it also makes it possible to just to paint without caring where it goes, to paint because you love it, to paint because you want to learn, to paint because you're looking to explore. And I think that I'm very confident is something I can provide for you. So if you're not ready, that's actually really great. I mean, is a kid ever ready to walk? No, they just do. They have to get in there, and then they fall on their heads, and that's not even an option here. You're sitting or standing at an easel.
Gabe, is it the team at 8paint.net or is it 8paint.art? Is it?
It's the team at 8paint.net.
Okay, and it's one word, the team.
The team at,
okay,
with an at,
yeah,
8paint.
Okay.
.net. Yeah.
Yes, so it is. And then there was a question about what's the difference between the 8 weeks and the other courses that are offered.
The summer workshops?
Yes.
I designed the summer workshops as an expansion, basically, on the Learning to See course. And initially, the first 3 years I offered it, it was only offered to people who had taken the course, just because it's a shared vocabulary that we all have. They're 2-week intensive dives, but they're not taught in the same way. They don't have the broadness that Learning to See does. In the still life course, for example, it's literally, this is the still life. Let's walk through this process of learning the still life. So they're not. Some of them are a little bit. I've changed the style of those summer courses. They won't give you the same overview. They're not as holistic, and I don't think that you're going to have. I love those courses. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with them, but I don't think you would be able to. I know you won't get the same. I think those are the words. I just
Those are great words.
They almost made it out.
It's just a much deeper dive, I think.
Yeah. It's focused on a specific subject, and
right.
So it's not about painting like the bigger questions of painting. It's about how to paint this, how to see this.
I just have one more. I just wanted to elaborate on something that I think is really important, that's really overlooked with the question and answer section with so many things. When you were speaking before, Lainey responded, "That is so true. I feel so frozen," or "I feel frozen." And the thing that is hard to talk about that you get during this course, and I'm sure Fiona can elaborate too, is there's so many great conversations about how we feel as artists and painters and what we go through in front of the easel or in life, that allows for us to feel a sense of so many things. Validation comes to mind. Reassurance comes to mind, not giving up, which allows you to move forward. We do feel frozen so much as artists. And this incredible conversation that we have during these 8 weeks gives you so much peace and calm about really your identity as an artist. And it's hard to talk about that, but Gabe's wisdom throughout his career, he's so generous with so much of it that I guess I'm not saying that well, but hopefully it's coming across what I'm saying here.
That is part of it. Also, I just want to add in that Tressa will be running another call separate from my Q&As. I'm going to switch over to the camera. First of all, what I wanted to share with you is instead of shading in and the darks and the lights, I wanted to build these forms in a much more geometric way. And it's just a transformational way of seeing. It's a sculptural way. First of all, second of all, it really helps me in these conversations when I get a little jittery. So thank you for putting up with that. Now I'm going to go back to the camera. That's okay, here we are. So I want to wrap it up. Before I go, thank you everyone for tuning into this. I hope you will sign up. I really I'm excited about this year. I know it's going to be a phenomenal year. Tress is an incredible coach. I'm not bad myself. We have a lot to offer and a lot to give. And I also wanted to make this offer to you because you decided to grace us with your presence on the call. If you do sign up, if you choose to sign up today, we're also going to include I have a in the studio with Gabe. Is it May 6th? Do you remember? Maybe Dave, if you can, I just want to make sure that people can put it on their calendar if it's available. I think maybe Breland's got it coming. Anyway, it's going to be an in the studio with me. It's obviously a Zoom event, but I'm going to be painting. This happens during the course as well, but it's like a 3 hours instead of an hour and a half time when you can be working, basically virtually alongside with me and we'll all be in our studios working through our processes together. And here, May 8th, same time, same station. And I'm really excited about that. I think it'll be fun as an extra bonus. And I wanted to keep that fairly limited. I don't want it to be too huge. So I'm just opening it up to those people on the call. If you do sign up today, that's something that'll be included in the call. And I think it'll be nice. You get 16 weeks. It says it's an 8-week course, but after the 8 weeks is over, I've taken a few courses where I got a lot of information and I wasn't able to absorb it all during the course. And so then it was over. And that's when my brain finally kicked in. And I was like, oh, now I have the questions. And that's a little frustrating. So what we do is we add another 8 weeks at the end of the course where we'll do 4 more check-in calls during that time. So that as you absorb the information and go through the process, you can ask me what questions you have around your work, and I can check back in with you. I like to be able to follow up. I think that's part of why my community is so strong. There's so many people returning, and that's a nice perk. So if any of that sounds good to you, whether you're a beginner or you are advanced, as far as if you are a figurative painter or a portrait painter, I love that. I've sold a lot of landscapes in my life, but I love painting the figure. I love painting the portrait. So I hope that resonates for you. I also do touch on landscapes and atmospheric perspective and even integrating the figure or figures into those spaces seamlessly so it all works together instead of it looking like a photographic montage. Did I miss anything, Tressa?
I think you got it all.
All right. Hope that this helps. I think that this call will it be up on Facebook, Dave? Facebook and YouTube?
Yes. Yep, it's on Facebook and the 8 Paint Infinite Arts Facebook.
Okay, so yeah, if you're part of the 8 Paint Infinite Arts group on Facebook, you can rewatch the call if you need more information. I think we did a pretty thorough job, and it might be better than the sales page even. I don't know. But you can rewatch this call, or you can check it out on YouTube. Much love to you all. I hope to see you in the course, and I hope that you'll sign up today so I can also see you in the live studio workshop where we all paint together. Thank you. Appreciate it.